Welcome to First Mile's Climate Heroes. I'm your host, Bruce Bratley, founder of recycling company First Mile. On this show, we meet and learn from the climate heroes who are building solutions right now to tackle climate change. According to data from the British Soft Drinks Association, the UK consumes about 3 billion litres of bottled water a year. And that's about 16 million bottles every day. And the impact of bottling and shipping water at this scale is vast. At this point, many listeners will be reaching for their refill bottles and flasks and filling up on tap water. But there's always a need for packaged water. And my guest today is working on reducing its impact. Josh White is co-founder of CanO Water, where they are busy canning water to reduce the impact of thirst. Josh, welcome to First Mile's Climate Heroes.
Thank you, Bruce. Great to be here. Not to be here. Great to be here.
It's great to have you on the show. So the first beer in aluminium cans was a Schiltz beer in 1962 in the States. And by 1970s, many other beers and soft drink companies had followed suit, canning in aluminium cans. Is water a new thing? What is the story of canned water? And how did you get to be a climate hero canning water, Josh? What's the story?
Water in cans wasn't a thing until, we made it a thing. And, the story is very much centered around myself and two best friends who went to Thailand when I was about 22 years old. We came across vast amounts of plastic pollution, and we're not environmentalists. We are three, just normal guys who had never come across anything like this before. We weren't even aware that this was a topic of conversation. We became quite shocked at what we had seen. These are brands that we grew up loving, Coca-Cola, Evian, brands that in their marketing come across very fun and playful. And we just were very shocked at the way that these brands weren't sort of telling us this side of things. And through vast amounts of research when we came back, because we became very obsessed with trying to, why is this happening? How is it happening? Is there a way out of it? And I think that we just sort of, through doing loads of research, started to see that actually we weren't the only people talking about plastic pollution. Loads of people have been talking about it for years. A lot of people had never been heard. We started to look into packaging and saw that aluminium is the most recyclable material when it comes to beverages. 70 to 75% of all aluminium that was produced in the 1800s is just still in circulation. And because cans have an intrinsic value, people are more likely to collect cans. So I think that we saw all of these statistics and we started to sort of think, wow, why has no one ever put water in a can? I think most people would just ignore it and get on with their life, but we were quite mad, and we were like, we're going to make this happen. And every hurdle that we could think of, we sort of convinced ourselves that we'd be able to get over it.
And was it a rational sort of process of elimination to get from a sort of a glass bottle or a plastic bottle to a can, or did one of you just go, well, eureka moment, why on earth don't we put it in a can?
It's funny because we looked at all different types of packaging. I'm sure about the difficulty of Tetra Pak. It's a product that, yes, it might be recyclable, but is it actually getting recycled at mass? Is the infrastructure there? We started to look at glass, and it's very difficult to compare glass and plastic because glass is very heavy, it smashes. We needed something that could literally be replaced. Hence one of the reasons that we started to look at a resealable lid, which we can go on to discuss later, because that's something that we introduced to our product because it was something that was quite instrumental when first launching CanO Water. But essentially cans are very, very similar to a plastic bottle when it comes to their on-the-go side of things. They're lightweight. You can put it in your bag. It doesn't get damaged because the cans are rigid and tough. And I think that all of these things played a big part. But one of the main things was convenience, and carrying glass sometimes for people isn't as convenient. And then the whole sort of downside of Tetra Pak, and also Tetra Pak can't really stay cold, can stay very, very cold for much longer. And I think all of these things are incredibly important. When you drink out of a glass bottle, you notice that coldness just come out of the fridge, and you do get that from a can, and you can't get that from a Tetra Pak. So all of these things sort of came into mind, but I think that the thing that excited us the most is that no one had ever done this before. We're like that as three individuals. We like doing things that are different and out there and that defy the norm, especially to encourage change.
And the can's been, unusual, and we never saw a can like it when you launched on the market. You've got this plastic resealable lid. Are there any other features that you need to build into the can, and why did you go for the resealable lid first?
So essentially, one of the main focuses of, from a convenience perspective, through speaking to family, friends, and a few outsiders, is they like the fact that you can close a plastic bottle, and it's the same with a Tetra Pak and a glass bottle. And one of the things about cans that really gets to people is that you can't close it. I think with the small single serve 330ml can that we launched with, maybe you could argue that you could drink that in one go, but still the way people drink water, it isn't necessarily just, a one go thing. People, might want to have a sip, and they might. So I think that it was incredibly important for us to look down the route of a resealable lid. We did loads of research. We actually found our resealable lid that we've got now on page 10 of Google, which is quite bootleg in itself. But we tried a few different variations from a few different companies. We did find a non-plastic lid that was very sharp and wasn't very durable, and was basically, it failed on us. We went to a Virgin startup meeting once, and with this tester lid, and we showed everyone around the room how amazing this lid was. And as we turned it upside down, the water just went everywhere. So it's come with its challenges. But the lid that we've got currently, it's less than a fifth of the weight of the product. It is recyclable. We do our best, and we work with partners to sort of make sure that it does get incinerated or used as waste energy. Ultimately, we're always trying to do better. We know that this is something that isn't the best, but it's definitely going into the right direction. We do have a ring pull product as well that is, fully plastic free. So I think that for us, it's always been about offering solutions that are better. We're always working towards upgrades and doing things that are better than previously. Something that is very exciting for us this year is that we're launching in full cardboard outer wrap, which is something that we've been trying to do for the past 7 years. We've always been trying to get out of shrink wrap outer cases. So it's these little things that, as long as a business and as a brand, we're always trying to do better. But the convenience around a resealable lid has been incredibly instrumental and important to the growth of CanO.
And then also, I was talking to a juice manufacturer who put still juices into cans. And isn't there an issue with it being like squidgy if it's not carbonated? And have you had challenges around sort of the perception of a still product in a vessel that's effectively been designed over the years for a carbonated product?
Yeah, so we came across that way early on in our journey. Our cans have a shot of nitrogen, just like a single shot of air that goes into the cans to keep the cans rigid. That's incredibly important when it comes to a still product. I don't know whether, when it comes to juice, whether that impacts anything else, but for us, it doesn't change the taste profile. But that was a hurdle at the beginning, an enormous one. And one of our co-packer that we work with now and have worked with from day one was very, very, confident that they could do this for us. And that was, our journey wasn't easy when starting CanO Water. It took us some serious time building relationships with people who couldn't fill cans, whether it came to, they were worried that there'll be a change in taste because of all the energy drinks, Coca-Cola and squashes that are going through the pipes. So they were worried that the water would be tainted. And also, that is another thing around the nitrogen shot. It's really, really important that is done right. because otherwise you're going to have a can that is very, very flimsy, and it will dent very, very easily on the shelf. The flimsy cans will not look good. So all of these things were things that we learned very early on in our journey that we've now become experts of.
What's sort of been the biggest challenge? Is it getting the first can filled or first supermarket signed up? What's the sort of the things that almost made you give up?
Yeah, there's been a lot of those. There's been serious amounts. I mean, in our biggest summer ever, which was in 2018, we went from being a complete fad to being something that actually started to, turn the dial. People started to believe that cans were a lot better than plastic, especially in the industry. So, a lot of hotels and tourist attractions, retailers, and we got a few 100,000 cans filled, which for us at that time was absolutely enormous. And the cans basically came wrong. The still cans were filled with sparkling, but it wasn't like nice sparkling, it was like still and sparkling mixed together. So that was a moment where we had sent a lot of the cans out, and a few of the people had called us up and been like, yeah, just to let you know, the still isn't tasting great. And those types of situations, you don't actually know how to get out of them at that particular moment. You sort of have to troubleshoot, and it's very, very, very scary. You instantly think that maybe this is the end. And the best thing, about having a really amazing team, and at that time it was actually only four of us, but we all came together and we all pulled and mucked in together to really sort of make sure that we got out of that scenario. But things like that, there's loads of ups and downs. There was a time that we nearly even lost our name, which was something that I actually completely forgot about. But we were in a situation where we nearly lost the name CanO Water, and myself and my other co-founder actually had to fly to Germany to beg someone to allow us to use our name in the future, which is all of these times have been really, really tough. But when I look back, it's that every single scenario, every single situation has made me a much more rounded entrepreneur, business individual, whatever you want to call it. But without any of these situations, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today. So I actually try and embrace them now a little bit more.
First Mile is the UK's leading waste management service. We help over 30,000 businesses reduce their carbon impact with our award-winning range of recycling solutions. Go to our website, which is thefirstmile.co.uk, to get started today. If you're enjoying this episode, don't forget to subscribe. We have brand new episodes every Wednesday. Some of the water brands are very much around where the water comes from, Highland Spring or whatever, and it's about the water source rather than the water packaging. Are you using multiple sources, or do you have a particular spring that you use, and is there sort of some heritage around that?
Yeah, so our water is actually amazing, and we don't talk too much about it and haven't in the past, but the truth is that that's something that we are going to be doing this year. Our water's from the Austrian Alps. Everything's canned at source. The cans are in Austria. The resealable lid's in Austria. The water's from Austria. Everything's canned and sourced within a 10-mile radius, and then it's brought down here. I think that it's incredibly important for us to have amazing water. We're a premium brand. I think that one of the reasons Austria was in the first place was because it was one of the only places in the world that would can water. They were very, very sort of, very, very good to us. They really looked after us. A lot of places across the world didn't really take us seriously, in all honesty. And after, going to Austria numerous times and actually, working with the sort of the scientists over there who really sort of have an understanding of the water, the quality of water is incredible. And, we're really proud of that. And that's something that we really sort of want to talk about. I think the reason we haven't talked about it so much is because the packaging, trying to explain to people in the first place why you're putting water in a can has been an enormous job in itself, as you can imagine, trying to explain to people why they're changing what they're used to for the past sort of 30 years is not easy. It's one of the hardest, challenges that I've come against, and it isn't something that most businesses are familiar with, because most businesses are go down the conventional route, and we haven't. So I think that it's funny, competition coming in is actually helping us, because it's normalizing the category that we created, and being in a category by yourself can be very lonely. So yeah, incredibly good water. Yeah, you'll see more about that in the coming months.
Plastic recycling levels overall are really low, 7%, something like that, which is sort of tragically low. But plastic bottles are actually quite a bit higher, 42%. Nowhere near the heady heights of aluminium cans, which are around about 85% across Europe. But there's a lot of effort going into recycling plastic bottles. And as that recycling rate inevitably catches up, do you think that'll dampen the CanO Water brand, or do you think people are just so wanting to move on from plastics that it actually won't affect you?
I think there's a few things. I think CanO Water means a lot more than just the plastic side of things. I think that it's a brand that has more meaning, which we can go into. Obviously, the don't bottle it side of things. So I think that CanO Water has got a lot more than just being a great alternative to a plastic bottle. But I also what I will say about cans is, and what I love about cans is the fact that cans never lose their quality. A can will always come back and be what it was meant to be, which is a can. The can that I've drunk from today has probably been about, it could have been thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of other cans. I mean, how amazing is that? Like, what an incredible story that is, to know that the drink that you're drinking from is going to be another drink in the future, and so on. So the circular side of that is phenomenal. Plastic doesn't have that. And from speaking to quite a lot of people about plastic, especially PET, the more that you recycle it, the more quality it loses. So it will end up becoming something, but what will it be? We'll never know what it will be. And then you compose the whole argument around microplastics and all of this sort of stuff. And I think that's the issue, is that I don't just think it's the recyclability of plastic that is the problem. I think there's not a lot of transparency when it comes to what is actually going on with plastic and the microplastics, and how bad that is in general, and how microplastics have been found in our stools and all these types of things. And I think that when you look into it, you actually start to see that it isn't just the recycling bit. It's actually, there's a lot more to it. So I think that that's one aspect of it, that I don't think a plastic bottle can ever compete against a can when it comes to the quality. But when it comes to CanO Water as a brand, CanO Water isn't just about the plastic side of things. Essentially, myself and the two others, Ariel and Perry, who started the business, we actually talk a lot more around this "Don't Bottle It," which is our slogan, which originally was all about not putting water into plastic, obviously, but also talk about how championing people who haven't bottled it is quite important, because as three people who never went to university, we're always told by hundreds of people that we'd never be able to build this brand, told by industry experts that cans of water will never be a thing, yet Coca-Cola and Pepsi have now put water into cans. It's a lot more than just the environmental side. It's actually there's a greater story about inspiring people to do better, and inspiring people to unlock their potential. A pun that I like to use is turning can'ts into cans, obviously. And I think that all of these things are massively important. And I think CanO Water is more than just a drinks business. It's actually, it's a lifestyle, it's a movement, and it's something that we've tried to encourage massively through culture.
And I hadn't realised, I was looking at your Don't Bottle It campaign, I hadn't realised that was also your strapline as well from the start, which is great. And so, I mean, I do like that as well, because it is, it's sort of moving beyond the sort of water into this sort of wider societal impact. And what's coming up with that, and what have you been working on with the Don't Bottle It campaign, and what are the examples of things that are going beyond the product?
Yeah, so you're going to see a lot of stuff coming out this year. We're actually working on a lot of it at the moment. So in the next few months, a lot of it's going to be coming out. But essentially, it's working with people who embody that, and who sort of embody that sort of like that side of don't bottle it. We've always, the type of characters that we are very unconventional. We've always defied the norm. We've always gone against the grain. And we love working with people who also do that. And also, we really like putting the spotlight on people that do that. So it doesn't just happen on the outside. It also happens internally with people that we hire and the team, and just encouraging people that impossible can be possible. It's funny. A lot of the people that told us it was impossible at the beginning, came out the woodwork 5 years down the line, and we're like, wow, that's amazing. And all the people that really doubted us sort of came out and was like, and I think that's what Don't Bottle It is about, is that if we had just not carried on, if we had just stopped there when the person told us it was impossible, CanO Water wouldn't have existed. So I think that, for us, it's part of our plan to really sort of inspire others, help people find their potential, and really sort of encourage this don't bottle it energy. There's this energy that CanO Water gives. CanO Water is not your typical water product, that just talks about, mountains and this type of thing. It's something that we encourage, with our water and the Austrian Alps, but it's something that there's more to it. There is this culture, this lifestyle. Anyone could be a part of it. Of course, we want everyone to be a part of it, but we really, really want to encourage people to not bottle it, and to give it their all, and not let anyone sort of deter them away from their vision and their what their best could possibly be.
On this show, we're building a Hall of Fame for climate heroes, and we always ask our wonderful guests to leave something in First Mile's Climate Heroes Hall of Fame. So, what or who would it be?
Originally, it was David Attenborough, because we've got a cardboard cutout of him in our office, and we are all obsessed with him. If it was a can of water as well, it's David Attenborough holding a can of water, if that can go into the Hall of Fame.
You can definitely have David Attenborough holding a can of water. Is his preference for still or sparkling?
I think he's going to be a still today. I think sparkling might hurt his throat, so I'm going to give him a still.
Speaking voice, perfect, excellent. We love that. Deposit return scheme that's launching in Scotland, all things being well, later in the year. Is that going to have an impact on the business, because it's sort of different rules for Scotland, different rules for England, or you're not too worried about it? It's quite a lot of drinks manufacturers are getting worried about the fact they're going to have to put a deposit on some bottles and not others, or cans in your instance.
Listen, we don't know what's going to happen. The truth is, anything that helps the recyclability of things and helps people's habits, I think is a good thing. I think the thing that I would be worried about is more around whether people will actually do it, whether they get it right. In all honesty, it's very easy to say we're doing this thing, and then it's difficult to actually get it right. From what I've seen with a lot of trials in the UK, I'm not sure how effective it actually is with getting people. And I've seen this through CanO Water, getting people to actually go out of their daily life to do something is very, very difficult. People are very used to convenience. They really, really are. I've had big conversations with people the whole time about, why do we need cans? Why do we need plastic bottles? Why do we need glass? Why don't we just drink from the tap? Why can't we just do the tap? That would be incredible. How amazing would that be? But there's billions and billions and billions of plastic bottles being produced around the world. And I don't think that a lot of these people understand that convenience, unfortunately, is more important to people. And I think that in my opinion, we should play to that, and we should be doing better in smaller steps. Listen, I think the DRS, I really hope that it's successful. I've always been a strong believer that things need to be better, as I mentioned before. But it just comes down to whether people actually do it. Hopefully they will. That's the thing. So it is on our agenda. It's something that as a team we've spoken about, obviously. But let's see what happens, and we're just going to keep going as we have, and we're going to keep doing better. And if we can be part of it and help the process, then we will, for sure.
And so CanO Water's had phenomenal success. I mean, you've just gone from no product that's ever been manufactured before to being now the market leader in terms of canned water. And, that first company, hugely innovative solution. So a huge amount of success to date. But in the next sort of 2, 3, 5, 7 years, what does success look like for you and the other founders at CanO Water and the team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously take CanO Water to different markets. We're definitely, speaking about different regions across the globe, which is incredibly important. And, just keep building an incredible brand. I think that's, something that for myself and the founders, is incredibly important, is build something that we're really, really proud of, that is a business that's sort of like a household name that people recognize as something that's done good, something that's been part of change. That's incredibly important for me personally, that I can say that I was part of change. And I think that that's something that I've always wanted to do. For me, financial incentives and these types of things aren't like at the top of my agenda. It's more about, being able to tell my kids and my great grandkids that, the reason they're drinking out of a canned water product is because we did that. And I think that's something that I'm really, really proud of, and I'm proud to be a part of. And, even if it's not a CanO Water, the reason they would be drinking out of any canned water would be because, of the chain reaction and the domino effect of what CanO Water has done. So that's something that's incredibly important. But, the team's growing, the brand's growing, awareness is growing. And I think it's just keep on going. And also, like, something that is really excites me, and this comes with, funding, because everything we've done has been very, very like organic and very, very sort of like out of our own minds. Whereas I'm really excited to grow the brand and do some really cool campaigns, which is something that, hopefully in the future that we can do, and just work with some really innovative people who really share the vision of CanO Water. I think that's the thing, is just keep growing the brand and do things differently. I think that's something that I'm also super proud of, and so are the other two founders, is we were the first people to do something in the world, and we like to have that mentality of, we never ever copy people ever. I've got this thing that we're never copycats. People copy us all the time as a brand. They take a lot of our wording or this or that. We're never going to be that. We might take inspiration, but we always come up with the ideas ourselves. And I think that's something that's incredibly important.
Yeah, I know that feeling. And so is the UK your biggest market today?
Yes, the UK is, and we do sell to other markets, but the UK is the one that we're on the ground. We're here. We've done a load of work here, and it is. But there are other territories that are growing, and we're also looking at going to others later this year.
So the big goal for CanO Water is really to get into other territories and expand. And how can our listeners help with that? Because we always like to try and get our listeners involved in the success of our guests on the show.
For sure. I think it's just supporting the brand, and standing with us on what we believe in. Our vision is to remove 1 billion plastic bottles out of the environment, out of the ocean within the next 10 years. And that's through selling, more recyclable alternatives. But that's also inspiring other brands to put their water into cans. And that doesn't just mean still sell shitloads of plastic bottles. That means get rid of your plastic bottles and move to cans, and be whether it be jump on the refill side of things or into, infinitely recyclable packaging. I think that a pet peeve of mine is brands that only put their water in cans to tick a box. They're not doing it necessarily because they actually care. They're doing it because they can say that they're doing it. And I think that that's something that is like a bit of a cop-out, to be completely honest with you. If you're going to move to cans, just move to cans. We know that they're better. Plastic shrink wrap for us in outer packaging is much cheaper for us to do. But we're going into cardboard because we're now able to do that. And I think that that's something that CanO Water as a business will always be like that. And I think that other brands need to follow suit. So the truth is, if anyone wants to get behind us, really just sort of follow us on our journey and be part of it. Really, we welcome anyone into the movement. And I think that's something that it is still it's a founder-led business. And that's something that is really, really important. You're not going to be you're not going to see us. You're going to see us. I'm still out there on the front line at times, at events and sampling, making sure that, the business with the team, that we're all, that we're repping the business. And I think that that's, completely, something that really stands true to us.
Brilliant. And how do listeners find you? What's the social tags?
So it's all just at CanO Water, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn, Josh White. You can follow the website as well, or go onto the website www.canowater.com. Within the next month, there's going to be some really exciting development that you're going to see. I can't go into it, but there's going to be quite a bit of change, which is really exciting. So you heard that here first.
Excellent. We love hearing about things first. Josh, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on the show. Thanks for coming and telling us all about CanO Water and an update in terms of where we are. Been superb. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Great to have been here. Thank you.
I'm Bruce Bratley, and you've been listening to First Miles Climate Heroes, where we meet incredible people making an impact to tackle climate change. If you've enjoyed this episode, leave us a review and subscribe to the show. We have brand new episodes every Wednesday.